You gotta get into the groove.
Hello and happy Saturday football fans, and welcome to the Saturday Pigskin exclusively right here on the OH Report. My name is Brian Skowronski. I am the host, and we had a few complaints last week, just too many good-looking, talented people in one room, so we're going to narrow it down to just myself and the legendary TY Tigers' own Effie James here to break down Week 3 of high school football for you here in North Central Ohio. And F, we were just talking off camera, just week to week, you never really know what you're going to get. And I think especially this year, there's a lot of parity right here in this area.
Absolutely. The parity and the increase of talent on different teams and their performance really shows. You never know. Mansfield Senior is an example. Tiffin Columbian comes in and gets a big win against Ashland. Hillsdale goes down this week. I mean, there's so much parity in the game, and that's why as a viewer, as I've been out of coaching for a while, so now as a viewer and a so-called analyst, I get to watch games, and it is so fun to see because you never know what the outcome is going to be, but you get to see kids really improve from week to week.
And then as a coach, if you can think back, when you get to this point after 3 weeks in the season, you're about to get in the conference portion. At this point, you got to probably know what you got, don't you?
This is a big time for evaluation. These first couple games, coaches now know officially after this third game who they got, and they know who they are as a team for the most part. So now your job as a coaching staff is to now build on who you are as a team. You may have come into the season thinking, we got a pretty good running game, and then you find out we might want to be a short passing team. So those types of things you find out in the first few games, and then rolling into your conference season, you build on those attributes of your team so you can get the best result at the end.
Teams right here in Richland County starting to figure out what they got out there on the gridiron. Let's throw it to the Richland run back right now. Show you what went down on Friday night. We began at Arlen Field, Westerville North at Mansfield Senior. The Tigers coming off a triple overtime win at Sandusky Perkins, riding some momentum into their home opener, and Rondell Smith takes the bag and fumbles it right away, setting up this Tavion Harris 1-yard touchdown run to make it 7-0 Mansfield Senior. Westerville then returned the ensuing kickoff back for a touchdown, but Armand Hughley did another one, going back-to-back. 68 yards all the way to the crib. And how big are special teams plays, Coach? This seemed huge.
Huge. Again, you just never know. The game's tied, and then you come in and you're setting up a great offensive play. Then you get a run back, and you get points on the board without even running offense. It's great.
Later in the second, Harris again from 10 yards out this time. It's 21-7 TY Tigers out in front. We'll keep it in the second. Angelo Gross, this guy's just a super freak, man. He's going to scramble around, dodge a couple of would-be tacklers, and he's going to gun it downfield to a legend in a making. It's another Gross, so many on the roster it's hard to keep up. This is going to go over 50 yards to set up another Harris scoring play. 3 touchdowns in the first half, Coach. Pretty special.
Gross is just an absolute nightmare for coaches. Their best offensive play is to drop back and pass and let Gross figure it out because he's normally going to make something good happen.
Tigers are up 31-7, but in the third quarter, things get interesting. Ari Dover with the slick TD run here, cut it to 31-21, but just too much Tigers D. They were awesome all night long. They held the Warriors to 24 total yards in the first half. Senior High wins it 31-21. They're starting to build some momentum. 2 W's in a row for the kids in orange and brown. Willard at Shelby. This used to be a rivalry game, but Shelby's been too busy winning to notice. Morik Albert here with the early sack, and then his big bro McGuire right here scampers in for the score. This made it 20-0 in less than 7 minutes. More Whippets defense now. Tanner Stevens going to come up with the INT. He had a touchdown catch earlier in the game. This thing got out of hand quick. The Albert brothers sharing some sibling love here. 12-yard touchdown reception by Morik. Then very next drive, the Whippets back in the red zone. And it's McGuire scrambling in. He had 6 total touchdowns. And Coach, I think this play right here for Willard just kind of sums up what they've been going through. The kick returner just can't even pick it up. Can't even pick up the ball, so Shelby recovers. It's going to set up an Owen Fisher touchdown run. He had 164 on the ground, 2 touchdowns. Here's Albert going in for another one. It was 63-0. The Shelby Whippets, we thought they'd have a drop-off, losing 18 starters. Not yet.
Back to their winning ways of run clocking everybody they play once again. Shelby Whippets back on top.
They are 3-0. The Flash is actually going to drop them from the schedule starting next year after they've been playing, I think, 97 times.
Good idea.
Lucas at Northmore, the battle of unbeatens. The Cubs took care of business last year. The Knights looking for revenge, though, at home. In first corner, Connor Becker made it 7-zip here. You are going to hear a lot more from this kid moving forward, like how about right now? And how about a 50-yard catch, and he's going to scamper all the way to Pater. Explosive plays, Effie, they always seem to make the difference.
Big plays for Northmore. They got used to that last year with their dynamic quarterback, but these guys now have got a real hunger to win, and they're really showing and having a great season so far.
Speaking of big plays, how about the king of the big play for Lucas, Jeb Grover, not being outdone, 50-yard touchdown run of his own. But how about this? This Becker kid, man, he just kept going. Another long catch, and he takes it into the end zone. It was 21-10 late in the second, and he's not done. The man is getting his cardio on, Effie. 92 yards, looking like a cross-country runner, putting on for his city. Just huge plays after huge play.
Speed and power out of the backfield. You cannot match that, and you really can't compete with that at the high school level.
Jeb Grover, though, chewing up 56 more yards into the end zone. This trimmed it down to 28-16. Still plenty of time, 4:16 to play in the third. But Hunter Mariotti delivers the nail in the coffin right here. 41-yard bomb to Gavin Ramos, bodies the Cubs. Northmore wins it 36-16. No Michi Johnson, no problem so far. Northmore off to a 3-0 start. From the battle of unbeatens to the, well, somebody's finally going to get one. Akron North hasn't won a game since the toaster became cool. Madison trying to end a 19-game slide on senior night, and safety first, kids. How about a 2-0 start for Madison to at least get them some confidence? They haven't led all year.
Nice. Great way to start, get some points on the board early. You never know what can springboard a team, Brian. You just never.
Now it's going to be Nathan Barrett. He's going to haul on a pass from Caden Mullins to get Madison into the red zone, a place that has not been a frequent spot for the Gang Green this year. And then the 219-pound bowling ball, Luke Hess, barrels his way in to put Madison on top. It's 9-0 in favor of the Rams. And you know what? They finally have something out there to shake their coconuts to. A shout out to the student section who keep sticking with their fans throughout the season. Ram Nation out in the rain, and they would celebrate a soggy victory too. Madison clobbers the Vikings 40-0 to get their first win. How about ending that losing streak in style?
Absolutely. That's a great win. Coaching staff has got to be in great spirits. At that point, when you're down no wins to 2, you don't care who you get your first win against. You really don't.
Here's Ontario on the road for the first time this season at Black River in first quarter. Easton Clifton, fresh back from injury. He's got great vision, shows a burst, 23-yard scamper, put Ontario on top 7-0 in the first. We jump to the second, same score, and it's the water bug. Jittering in front of the ball for the INT. Owen Hatfield, the big playmaker for Ontario. Only a $125, but he takes it 80 yards back to the zone. It's 14-0 Ontario. Third quarter, the Pirates going to cut the deficit down to 14-6 on this quarterback keeper. But the last chance for Black River here late in the fourth. Warriors defense, can they hold on? They will. It's an INT in Ontario, and Chris Miller off to a 2-1 start in his first year.
Great job by him. He's really getting those guys going, and wins are wins. I don't care who you get them to get.
So Ontario now 2-1 on the season. Mansfield Senior gets back to 2-1. They've won 2 in a row, and then Madison gets off the schneid. Lucas loses for the first time. Coach, like we were talking about, the parity, all these teams, they look great one week to the next. You're not really sure what you're going to get. What's your top takeaway now that we've seen pretty much all these Richland County schools for the last 3 weeks?
Well, one about Lucas, they've developed a winning culture there. And sometimes I think for Coach Spittler, I think he's going to use this opportunity to tell his team, like, listen, we've won some games, but listen, we just can't come out on the field and show up and teams are going to fall down for us. They have to play. So I think Lucas is going to get back going. And my other takeaway is Mansfield Senior now think about this. They go to triple overtime could have been very easily 0-2 coming into this game. Now, after 3 weeks, they are 2-1, which sounds a whole lot better than 1-3. And look at them going into the conference season, really being ready to play. They got West Holmes this week, really riding high, and a chance to roll into conference play on a big win against a quality opponent in Westerville North, and gives the team a lot of confidence.
And I got to see Mansfield Senior in person for the first time on Friday night. The amount of big kids that they can shuttle in and out that are pretty talented up front. That's the first time I've ever seen Mansfield Senior have that many bigs that can get in and out of the game. I know Chioke's really excited. Like, it just seems like a special group to me.
Brian, they are absolutely, when I look at that team, and it was my first time seeing them too this year, their potential is through the roof. They have tremendous team speed, team size. They've got just enough experience and playmakers where you can see them building week after week after week. By the time the season's done, there's no telling what this team could be, especially now they're moved down to Division III. The playoff chase for them is going to be totally different than it has been in the past. But I look at this team and I see a lot more speed than they've had as a team, and also a lot more size. So they've got a lot of promise there.
And then when you look at a team like the Shelby Whippets off to a 3-0 start, I mean, they're gunning everybody down, but so far the only team they played with a win is Madison, and we saw that they just got their first win in a couple of seasons. What do you think we should expect from them moving forward when they do get into their conference portion of the schedule? I do this because they're not really in a conference.
Right.
They have to play that Sandusky Bay, but they're not a part of it. But what do you think about the Whippets so far?
Well, I think, like we've been talking about, winning is a culture. And I think last year what happened to the Shelby Whippets, the fact that they won so many games and they won them big, it developed a culture. And the young guys behind those guys last year, they don't want to be the ones to drop the ball. And Coach Will was here last week and he talked about how they develop and nurture that culture, and the kids just go out and play. They play because they play like they want to win, they expect to win, and that means everything, especially in a tight game. They played a tight game against Lexington, but I think the difference is that in that game was they expected to win. They didn't play as well as they could have, but they expected to win in the end, and they did. And going forward, that's going to be invaluable to them.
And my final question about Richland County before we move on, not pictured Lexington, the only team we didn't have video for. They get hammered by Orville on the road. They're now 0-3 on the season, Coach.
Wow.
When you watch them play, when you see them on film, what about them isn't working that they're not getting the wins? Because I believe they went 2-8 last year, now off to an 0-3 start.
The game now, Brian, is so much about speed and space. And one thing when I watch Lexington play, of course they've got a tremendous individual player in Kate Stover, but the game is so much about being able to run, tackle in space defensively, and get the ball in space and make plays offensively. And right now, Lexington offensively just doesn't have the overall weapons. And if a defense can hone in on Stover, and you don't have any other play, any other way to go, or no other player to throw to or run with, it makes you easy to defend. And on the other side of the ball, you got to have playmakers that can make plays in space. And Orville's the type of team that's going to exploit that, they're going to make you make plays in space defensively, and they're going to have the type of athletes that can make plays themselves on the offensive end.
While we're based here in Mansfield, and we love you, Richland County folks, we also love you over in Crawford County. We're going to have one game per week for you folks. This is the featured highlight this week. Upper Sandusky taking on Galleon. Let's get right into the highlight. So here we go. Both teams 2-0 to start the day, but man, this dude, Elias Middleton, you'll get to know the name by the end of this segment, I guarantee you. That man in the white and orange pants, he has just got an extra gear that most don't. 24-yard touchdown scamper, put Galleon on top, 7-0 early, and then that fake so good right there. My camera guy couldn't even keep up. It's 14-0 Tigers in a hurry. The Rams drove into the red zone twice early, but Galleon's defense keeping them off the board. Big time play right there on 4th down to stop it. And it's Middleton again, taking a left like he's ambidex. Catch him because he's going 66 yards per 6, and the route is on. Galleon on the road, playing some D as well. Coming up with the INT, winning in both phases of the game, Coach. Anytime you can come out and dominate, and you got a kid like this throwing lefty on the run like that, whoo, you got to be happy.
One thing in common about these wins that we're seeing, great quarterback play. And Galleon, it looks like they've got a special one in this Middleton kid.
So the Tigers roll 34-0. They shut them out. You've been keeping an eye on any Crawford County teams so far this season? Anybody that you would like to talk about? I had heard about this kid over in Galleon, so I had to have a camera over there. So far, looks like this guy's the real deal at least.
He does. I really, and not just because I'm a former quarterback, but I love great quarterback play because there's very few positions in football that can win or lose the game for you. Very few. You can take a corner off the field, a safety, a linebacker, even a running back or receiver, and that may not make the difference. But a quarterback, great play or poor play, can win or lose a football game for you. And I'm really impressed with the Middleton kid at Gallion, and he's had a couple really solid weeks. I'm going to be looking at him here moving forward because I think he's going to be a great talent.
I got a sneaky suspicion we're going to be seeing a little bit more of him coming up right now in Friday Night Phenoms, brought to you by MWD Logistics.
We've got some fresh new young talent doing some things that I know you haven't heard before.
1, 2, 3, listen.
We're going to kick things off out there in Northmore. This junior running back, Connor Becker, look at those numbers. Are you kidding me? Almost 300 total yards from scrimmage, 4 tutties, coach. I mean, that's video game numbers for any player. I don't care who it is.
That is a big play type of player that you need on your team if you want to be an explosive offense. You always got to have a guy that can take it to the house from anywhere on the field, and he really showed that this week. Awesome game for him.
And beyond the explosive plays, what's really impressive to me, anytime I see a running back that can be a bell cow, 29 carries, that just wears on you on a defense. It has to.
It does. And most high school players are going both ways from the running back position, so that shows his strength and conditioning and how tough he is as a running back.
Man, it's getting old seeing this guy on the list every week, but 6 total touchdowns, let's talk about it. You kidding me? 3 through the air, 3 on the ground. Again, the competition hasn't been great, but this kid has been every single week for Shelby.
Yeah, Coach Will talked about him last week. The truth of the matter is if Brennan Armstrong doesn't exist, this kid was a starter last year, and they still would have went to the regionals in the playoffs. He is a tremendous talent, and I certainly see him as a Division I prospect also. He plays well, throws well, and is a student of the game.
I agree. From what I've got to see up close about him, he's a leader now. The kids look to him in the huddle, so he's got the total package. I don't think the kids out in Whippet Country are saying Brennan who yet, but I don't know. He keeps playing like this. Some record's going to start falling off that board. Tavion Harris, I mean, the numbers aren't going to blow you away, but coach, in that first half, the 3 touchdowns to, be able to sniff out the end zone and get in there to put Mansfield Senior on top, I just thought it was big.
Yeah, there's a reason why you have certain packages, and Mansfield have certain packages when they get to certain places, and you want your sure-handed guy, the guy that can smell the end zone, and he may not have great stats for this game tonight, but he's a kid that's going to get into the end zone when he gets around the goal line, and you got to love that from a running back.
And this is the guy that they put in there. When they get in about inside the 10-yard line, they put in Mr. Harris, and he delivered every single time for Mansfield. A big reason they were able to knock off Westerville North 31-21 for their second consecutive win. And last but not least, you just saw the highlight, Elias Middleton, the senior quarterback. Again, more gaudy numbers, really efficient through the air, 10 of 14, 185 yards, but the 4 touchdowns on the ground. To me, if you're a quarterback that can run like this guy does, it just opens everything else up.
Well, there's one thing about a running quarterback, but then there's an efficient quarterback. 10 for 14 is an efficient night. That means that you cannot just play him for the run. You actually got to guard against him throwing the football, and with that, you're going to be in a bind defensively. And Middleton has really done an outstanding job last night. Well, this coming season.
So there you have it, folks, our Friday Night Phenoms for Week 3 right here in North Central Ohio. Brought to you by MWD Logistics. So some huge individual performances this week, some big-time total team efforts. What would you say in your parting shot is your total takeaway from Week 3? What's going to stand out to you when you think back on this week?
Well, when I look at this week, and again, I'm trying not to be a homer here, but I was so impressed with the Mansfield Senior win. I thought that they, from struggling their first 2 weeks, coming out with really a whole new attitude. Defensively, they had a whole new attitude, and offensively, they showed their explosiveness, offensively and special teams. And I really think that they may have hit a mark in this season where they'll be able to look back and say that was the point where we turned this thing on, because everyone knows they have the talent. It was just a matter of putting it all together, and I think they're going to be able to build on this win, and really I think they're going to turn this thing into a great season.
I think I'm with you in the fact that I got to see it in person. They almost got the running clock rule going against Westerville North. Like I was really shocked about that. So Mansfield Senior win really sticks out to me. But then Ontario going on the road for the first time this year. They've really been banged up. Some of their top kids haven't been playing. There's some of their skill kids, and they get a win. Shout out to Chris Miller for playing some defensive-minded football. They've totally changed the mindset out there from a season ago with Chris Hawkins to what they got going on now. So I'm pretty excited about the Warriors and the place that they're headed as they get into MOAC play. So that's what's coming up next. Conference play, man. Exciting stuff.
Already, you know, and really it's for, you know, one thing I used to say as a coach about conference games, and I loved when they came up because it was like every week is a championship game, and you got to prepare like it, you got to play like it. Your mindset has got to be all about a championship, because a lot of these conferences nowadays are so small, you drop a game, you might be out of the race. So it's a championship week every week, and you'll start to see coaches and players really turn up their intensity in practice, turn up their focus, and the preparation now, because you got some film to work with as a coach, and you really get to see what other teams are. It's really a great part of the season, and you get to see some of the best quality football you see throughout the entire season.
And the best part is, it's coming at you starting next week in week 4. That's going to do it for the Saturday Pigskin. Shout out, as always, to Effie James for being here with me, bringing it every single week as he does. That's it for me, Brian Skowronski. We'll see you next week right here on the Saturday Pigskin.